You know, Jerry, tell people out there your title and kind of what your involvement is with M1.
My official title is Vice President of USA,
Okay.
and that means pretty much doing pretty much whatever needs done. I do, from the television production to working with Fedor. I had to go to Stereo School a couple weeks ago, actually a week ago, and we spent a week at Stereo School with Fedor shooting the Showtime special, Fight Camp 360. So pretty much whatever needs done, especially on this side of the ocean. So, yeah. You know, stirring up a lot of trouble. This is broadcast radio, so I can't swear. Stirring up a lot of trouble. You know what I love about this, Steve? Because I see you on the internet all the time, and you on the radio. Are you okay? You seem a little like.
Oh, not at all.
No, okay.
No, I'm ready in a few minutes to get to the dirty word M1, which Dana White didn't like very much. I want to do that in a few, but there you go.
Right, there you go.
From a serious note. The Fedor side, because I find the whole thing intriguing. I mean, I just saw the two Rasputin priests go by, and hopefully that's not insulting. But you know, you got two guys with the beards, all these big Russian dudes around. I mean, it's a foreign world to us, and it's still, to me, it's completely intriguing. It's a throwback to like 35 years ago. So what is it like for you? What is the experience like working with this huge group of Russians who work with Fedor?
The Russian side, it's awesome. You know, it's very humbling going. I've been to Russia probably now. Tokyo was 52 times the pride. Russia so far like 8, I think. I've been to Stereosko, Fedor's hometown 3 times. It's very humbling, man. You go there and you kind of forget growing up in America, especially. It's a little. Moscow's a big city. St. Petersburg's a big city. Stereosko's a very small town, and it's very humbling going there. And when you drive in a car, you see a 90-year-old woman honestly digging a head of cabbage out of her garden to eat. And you know, that's what happened. You know, driving, Fedor drove me to this little river. We jumped in our underwear, which he made me do, which is kind of crazy. But I looked at this old woman, and I'm like looking at her going, I go to the grocery store and I buy a head of lettuce or cabbage, and I'm like, look at this 90. She must have been 90 with a shovel out there digging up her own food. So it's very, very humbling. And going to the gyms that Vladimir and Alexander run, where Fedor trains, it's a humbling experience in that it's not state of the art. They're actually building a new huge complex there for Fedor, where the mining company is, and they wanted to name it after Fedor. He said, no, don't name it after me. That's how humble he is. But it's very humbling going there and seeing how these people live and how they're not very materialistic.
So as much as we think things have changed because of the Cold War is gone, they're still in a lot of ways like I said, kind of back in the 70s and 80s, trying to kind of catch up. Does that contribute to an attitude at all that is a little anti-American at all?
No, not at all. I think they're great. They're very friendly there. Moscow is a big city. It's kind of a big city. It feels like New York. Like maybe 1990, maybe early 2000s. St. Petersburg a little bit before that. But no anti-American at all. I've never seen it, ever. They've been more than gracious. Every time I go to Stereosko, Alexander, Vladimir, Fedor, I went to Banya with Fedor and he beat me with the branches. I mean, they're just very accommodating, man. Yeah. It's just, they're great. I have a great time. I love working with them.
So tell me what he's doing tonight. You just mentioned the two priests walk by. He's going through prayer. I mean, what does he do the night before a fight?
Well, Father Andrei, which is his father, he's Russian Orthodox, travels with him wherever he goes, usually on fights and things. And Father Vladimir, some other province, I believe it is in Russia, I think it's another province. And he's just real close with them. He's very, close to God now, very spiritual, and that's what I think makes him, especially now, he's so calm. Fedor is not afraid to lose. He's close with God, and when he says to me, when I say, are you afraid to lose? He's like, no, Jerry, it's God's will. And when you talk to him and you look at him, he feels that way, and I think that's what makes him better. He's not afraid to lose because he looks at it as a competition, and he says that if it's God's will, if he loses, he loses.
So we're talking to Jerry Millen from M1. He's on the American side, and he works very close with Fedor, who's in this main event against Brett Rogers. He's still a very mythical, mysterious figure because we don't get to see him fight for free here in the United States. You're going to get to see it in Vegas, 9 o'clock tomorrow on CBS. So when you tell him, or someone tells him stuff that, say, Dana White or other MMA people or other fighters say that he doesn't want to face the best, he's afraid. How does he react? Does he chuckle? Is he insulted?
He says basically whatever. That's, it's not the case. He looks at it as a sportsman. If he loses, he loses. He feels that way, and he'll fight anybody, anytime. He has no problem. He's not ducking anybody. He won't sell his soul. He won't sell out. And he's lucky enough to be at the point of the game where he doesn't have to kiss anybody's ass, because he's the best, and he doesn't have to do that, and he's not going to sell out. Kadeem or Fedor, they don't have to sell out to
we're talking about sell out respect or material-wise? Because it doesn't sound like it's material.
I think, not material. I think it's both. I think, in Russia, the money goes a lot farther in Stereosko. So I think Fedor, money-wise, is probably pretty set for life. He could probably quit tomorrow or could quit tonight actually, and not really have to worry about taking care of his family the way he lives, because he lives very humble.
I think he'd be taken care of too.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, he's an icon there. So, but I don't think he'd have to be taken care of. I think that he's very smart with his money. You know, believe me, he's a very smart guy with his money.
So it was the rage a couple of months ago. He was a free agent, and Dana White was very public about making the offer, and then getting snubbed, and really pissed off that that Strikeforce got the deal. What's your read on what happened?
You know, what happened was the offer wasn't good enough. You know, and Dana at times is two-faced. You know, one minute he says he's the best fighter in the world, and I want him, and then he's the fat guy at the buffet. You need to make up your mind, because Fedor's the kind of guy. You know, Dana in the conversations. I wasn't in the meeting, but I was, and I'll leave it at that. I wasn't, but I was in the meeting. Dana says to Fedor over the phone, "Oh, you're the best fighter in the world. We'd love to have you. It'd be great to have you." And Fedor says to me, "I hear and I read on the internet what you say about me every day." And then Dana's like, "Oh, I'm just a promoter. I'm trying to sell tickets. Oh, I just want to sell tickets." You know, and Fedor said, "That's what makes you and I different." You know, Fedor is an average guy, and you can't go at him that way. You can't call him a fat guy, or he sucks, or he's overrated one week, and then try to sign him the next. Because he just wants respect, but he wants you to treat him fairly, as all fighters should be. You know, I mean, all fighters deserve to. You know, it takes a lot of guts to get in there in a cage. I'd never do it. I'd get my butt whipped, and I would never do it. It's not my thing. I don't like getting punched in the face, honestly. But if that's your thing, you know, more power to you. You know, you're a hell of a man if you get in there and do that. You know, and if you enjoy that, and you deserve respect, and you know, the wealth needs to be shared. And I think the sport is going to come to a point sooner than later, especially with CBS getting into the game, where fighters are going to get more money and more respect. And I think the UFC and Dana White, especially Dana White, is afraid of that, because they're going to slowly lose their grip. Their grip on.
They're going to lose grip on market share or their business model?
Market share somewhat, but I think their business model. Because to me, I respect all the fighters in the UFC. They have great fighters. But to me, it's almost a WWE model. They have their own magazine. They run their own TV shows. They don't want to work with anybody else. So they run it like the WWE model. I've seen Vince McMahon's model. I almost went to work for him one time, and I went and I saw, Titan Towers. I saw how they own their own internet. They own their magazines. They try to control the media. UFC does the same exact thing, man. They set up Brock Lesnar for a title shot after how many MMA fights? 4? I mean, come on. At the end of the day, it's like, did he deserve that title shot? I think there's a lot of heavyweights out there that would say no.
Part of it's marketing, part of it's matchmaking, part of it's selling tickets and selling pay-per-views.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But they should acknowledge that fact, too.